最近，外网军事圈彻底炸锅了。一段关于中国第六代战机歼36的试飞画面，让西方硬核军用播客的主持人直接惊掉下巴。当美国的 F-47还深陷研发泥潭时，我们的六代机已经大摇大摆地跨过了技术难关。老外逐帧看了我们的歼36，越看越心惊。无尾三角翼布局，独特的背部进气道，超大推力的三发配置，甚至还采用了罕见的并排双座构型。西方专家惊呼，这根本不是一架传统的空中格斗机，而是一座能以高超音速突防的空中指挥堡垒。接下来咱们一起去看看他们怎么说吧。
PLA releases J-36 footage. Doug has some video, but China crosses major hurdle in sixth generation fighter development with demonstration of tailless jets, high maneuverability. So we've talked about the past mover. You remember the J-36, 3 engines, and it looks like it has kind of developed more into a bomber. But it says the new footage of the Chinese 3-engine heavyweight 6th generation fighter in flight has, for the time, demonstrated the type's high maneuverability. And the exclamation on the whole article is the fact that it does not have a tail on it. So tailless fighters are highly challenging to make maneuverable because they lack the horizontal tail planes that conventional fighters use to control pitch, provide stability, and generate rapid changes in altitude. All true. And then there's a little bit of talk about the J50, which is more the fighter type 6th gen fighter that they're developing. Much smaller, thrust vectoring, more as an aircraft should be. Doug, do you have the video, sir, of the footage of the J-36 being maneuverable? There we go. Hit play. There she goes.
Look at that thing.
Yeah, looks like pretty aggressive climb with some vapes going.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty wild.
You would not expect that from now. Obviously, we don't have perspective here.
Correct. Clearly, you can see the intake on top. So it has a unique design for the intakes on the engine, which is on top of the fuselage behind the cockpit area, which is side by side as far as we know. So yeah, doing pretty perfect. So yeah, tailless aircraft, pretty heavy. I think the previous stuff we've looked at mover, it's pushing like 80, 90, maybe 100,000 pounds. It's got a main gear that's got two wheel and tire per main, side by side configuration, 3 engines, no tail, lots of flapper on ailerons there on the trailing edge. But I don't know, man. What do you think of that video as far as fighter, bomber? I mean, what do you think?
I think it's an interceptor more than anything. I think it's a go high, get fast, do good work, kind of, long range, whether it's intercepting or, throwing hypersonics, that they're trying to develop, or maybe even like a drone commander platform with, having the side-by-side configuration, kind of like a 6th gen version of a Su-34 or something, right? Like your side-by-side crew configuration. It's hard to tell about the maneuverability. It was surprising from what is there, but you don't have perspective. Like, you're not looking at what the rate is, what the radius is, all that stuff. I don't think maneuverability really matters for this platform. Obviously, in game it would, right? If you're trying to defend against something, but for what the mission is here, I don't think it matters. What surprises me is how they're testing it in plain sight and sending this out. So that's kind of
Yeah, and I don't know, for on the US side, 6th gen is the F-47, and that thing is we're still a couple years out from probably seeing any real footage. Allegedly it's flying now, or at least technology demonstrators for that airplane. But the fact that the Chinese, like you said, have put out pictures and videos of 2 6th gen, one a fighter, one probably more, like you said, more like a tactical bomber or a fighter bomber. is telling. It might be the politics, right? Like, hey, we're way ahead of you kind of thing. We don't know, we've talked about before, the whole term 6th gen. What exactly
does that mean? Yeah.
Right. And I as time goes on and as we continue to read about this stuff, I think a lot of it is going to be heavy into the CCA kind of stuff, embedding AI and drone technology, pilotless wingmen, all that, with really long range weapons.
Right.
When you look at when you think of China and the theater that they are preparing for, large sea space, airspace, makes sense for an aircraft like the J-36. I don't know how stealthy it'll be. Not having a tail helps, but the fact that they're developing this airplane, the J-36, and then there's not really much known about the J-50, which is their actual fighter, much smaller, thrust vectoring, also tailless though, right? So they are making an effort to make it stealthy. Is it going to be as stealthy as the stuff that we have? I don't know. Does that really matter? I don't know. Stealth was really a marketing name or a technology that was pushed on 5th gen stuff. Only really time will tell what 6th generation fighters and bombers really, what capabilities they'll actually have.
Yeah, and you're right. I think some of it is kind of, I don't know if you want to call it a show of force, but just kind of a show of capabilities, right? They want to be seen as a superpower that's equivalent or greater, right? And they're very proud of what they're doing. That's not to say that they're more advanced, because we don't know. We're not showing our cards and kind of the F-47 or the FAXX if that thing ever gets announced. But it is interesting to see because it's a weird design. Like, right? You look at it, you're like, what is this intake, side-by-side seating? We probably won't know what its full capabilities are until much, much later, but I'm sure they're being watched. I'm sure it's something of great interest, from intelligence communities.
If this thing really is like 100,000 pounds, do we really have anything that could be a high-speed, long-range command and control aircraft that has interceptor capability? That's when you think about how big the Pacific theater would be. It's like it's not a bad. It'd be kind of nice to have an airplane like that in the arsenal.
Yeah, I think it's more of the range, right? It's less about the speed and more about, because as hypersonics are going to come on board, and we didn't talk about it in the previous episode, but we were talking about missiles that have really long range that they're trying to develop, in several hundred miles, pushing 1,000 miles. And that really opens up the theater, right? It gives you more of a stick, if you will. And so, being able to go a longer distance while running your intercept, that might be what they're thinking of. But if you can launch a drone from this, your own drone wingman, that's another piece to it as well. So just interesting. Doctrine's going to change. Doctrine's going to continue changing. And even this may be an unmanned, like it's side by side now, but they could be developing an unmanned version as well.
Yeah, 100%. And when I was looking at pictures of the J-50, kind of their 6th gen fighter, that's the thought that came to my mind. I'm like, I could see this thing going, unmanned. But yeah, you brought up a good point earlier, man. About the whole political thing, like maybe they just want to get things flying. It reminds me of like the books I used to read as a kid, like when Viktor Belenkov defected with the MiG-25. I read the whole story back then. They thought the MiG-25 was like super maneuverable and all this, and then when they finally got their hands on one, it was really good at one thing and what it was designed for, but it didn't nearly have the capability that we thought. So, and I'm not saying that's the case here, but in the game of weapons, this is kind of what happens.
Well, what was it where China rumored to have fired or more than fired their designers because they were so far behind of what they were actually saying? Like, you see that in kind of the fringe news and stuff, but you know, they're susceptible just as much as we are to, you know, having issues with development and design. So it's nothing unique. It's a common problem.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you know, we don't hear anything from Russia. They're too busy fighting.
Yeah. Or, you know, maybe maybe they're like us. They remain quiet and just they're quietly developing whatever they're developing.
Or it's the standard Russian doctrinally. They don't think the same things are as important as we do.
That's true.
Right. Yeah. We have certain things we do and they take a different approach, and what they do works. It's just a different way of doing business.
Yeah. 100%, man. Yeah.
And what's interesting is China has mostly divested from that, and they're going more to a Western thing, right? Yeah. China has gotten away from the Russian equipment and methodologies and gone more towards the Western 5th gen, 6th gen stealth, CCA, all that stuff.
Probably because some of the help they've hired. I don't know.
The help, the stuff they've downloaded, the internet, Mover and Donkey show, whatever they.
DCS.
DCS, yeah.
DCS. Perfect.
All right.